Okay, we'll call the Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's continue with the agenda review.
Mr. Chair, there are no changes this morning.
Okay,
Move the agenda.
is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. Commissioners report. Who'd like to start?
I've got the shortest one.
Okay, go ahead.
No.
Well, we had our last board meeting on Tuesday, July 29th. And then on the 31st, I had a meeting with the Executive Director of Region 9 just to talk about some of our regional issues. And then, as some of you know, I flew out to spend time with my brother and his family, facing some real serious health issues out there that came up. And so I was gone for over about a week, and I took care of most of my meetings right there.
Yeah.
So I appreciate anything you did in my absence,
Yep.
and hope you had a good work session and all those kind of things.
Yep.
So,
Well, it was important for you to be with your family.
Yeah, it's tough, it's tough. It's my big brother.
Yep.
He's your big brother.
Yeah. So that's it. That's my
Okay,
report, Mr.
thank you,
Chair.
Drew.
Well, after our last meting, I had a classroom talk also with Jeremy Berger's class at the Lincoln Community Center, 2 days after you did. That was a lot of fun.
I should have mentioned that too.
Well, you did last time.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you. That's right, I went on Monday, you went on
Yeah.
Wednesday.
And that afternoon, I qualified for my federal gun permit. That was kind of important to me. Let's see, July 31st, we had a Safe Bar Initiative meeting at CADA in an effort to reduce sexual harassment and violence in our local bars.
They have a new director too, don't they, Vance?
What's
A
that?
new executive director there,
Yeah.
Ada, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
August 1st was at the county fair, and I did some herdsmanship judging along with checking out the fair and talking with Will and some of the other people. I again showed up on the August 2nd at the county fair. I met most of the board down there August 2nd. August 5th, we had a board work session. August 6th, we had a department head meeting and then a community farm meeting. August 7th, I had an AMC executive board meeting. And on the 8th, we had an AMC executive board meeting with MICA executive board. And that's the end of my report.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Mark?
August 2nd was the fair, or a bunch of were at the Saturday, and spent a little time later in the bingo booth at the fair there, working. I was working. Then August 5th, they had a work session. Then the 6th was department heads, the 6th, and then I had our RCF. We had a meeting yesterday, August 11th, at the Vikings, up at the Vikings. MSU.
Nice.
That's it.
That go over well? I didn't make it yesterday.
Yeah, actually, we go through a bit of things. There wasn't a big attendances.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we did have a good meeting there.
Okay, good. After our last board meeting was also off to the fair. Looked like a pretty good turnout. I think a lot of people were there just to hear the announcement for the new fairgrounds. So that was a good program. Had our work session. Went up and videotaped a new library commercial for the Blue Earth County Library as a commissioner. So that was fun to do.
That we were standing there.
Yep, standing now. I don't know if everybody's done that yet or not, but you stand now instead of sit.
I haven't
So
done it for over a year.
Yeah, it's been a
Well,
couple
they
years
just
since I
changed it
did.
last, that was last fall, whatever, when
So
they changed it.
it's a little different.
Yeah, I was
but-
standing last
Yeah.
time.
No?
And then, yesterday I was out looking at a feedlot issue that we've been dealing with for several years with George Leary and some other environmental services staff, and I think we gained some ground yesterday, and other than that, I missed a few of my other meetings with some other things going on, and that brings me today, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Very good, thank you. On July 30th, I attended the ADA training at TDS. Always interesting to hear that information presented. On the 31st, I presented the Century Farm Awards at the fair. It's a thing that's near and dear to my heart. Of course, I was there for the every day of the fair. I thought they had a good fair. The work session on August 5th, department heads on August 6th, and the community farm update. And then on the 7th, I went to the Blue Line truck stop in Worthington, and that is the first PACE loan that we have given through the Rural Minnesota Energy Board. And PACE is Property Assessed Clean Energy.
Nice.
So we gave them a $69,000 loan to upgrade heating and refrigeration and install LED lighting. And Senator Franken was there, and that's a topic that's near and dear to his heart too. So it was good to see him there.
Nice.
And then on the 8th, I attended the Collaborative for Sediment Source Reduction stakeholder meeting up at the college. This is a meet about 4 times a year and talk about ways to reduce the sediment in our rivers and streams. And yesterday I had the Brown County Evaluation monthly board meeting. That brings us up to today.
How are they doing, can I ask you, Will?
They're doing fairly well.
Okay.
Couple of things have happened that since they quit doing detention, juvenile detention, they've rented the space out to MRCI, and that's become a fairly decent source of income. I think about $19,000 a year rent, and it's good. It's a good deal for both sides.
Nice.
And we have a new director, and the director has been there for a couple months, seems to be doing a good job. But the numbers are down a little bit, which is good for us, but bad for them.
For business, yeah.
But all in all, I think they're doing well.
It'll probably pick up now with schools all coming
Yeah.
back together.
Yeah.
Business will pick up.
Yeah. 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 But they have a healthy reserve.
Oh, good.
Have almost a year's operating expense in reserves. So
Is that fairly new to have that much of a
yeah,
reserve?
yeah. They've
That's nice.
it's been managed well, so
Well, that's
we
good.
can. And they're talking about a minimal increase in per diem rates for next year. I can't remember whether it's 2 or 3% right in there. So we'll know next month when we set the budget over there. So, okay. Now, shall we move on?
Mr. Chair, should we do the county board minutes of July 29th of this year?
Yes.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried?
I'll move the bills.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah, a couple.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have one.
In the first week, Government Management Group Incorporated, it just says other. I was just kinda curious what it is. It's $6,250 and what it does.
That's part of our cost allocation plan. The finance department hires this consultant to do a cost allocation plan that allows us to charge some of our overhead and administrative costs to various programs. So it allows us to draw down federal reimbursements, especially in the Human Services Department, for those administrative costs.
So they help confirm what it might be costing.
Right, they
Sure we have our own
come up
idea.
with a formula in terms of how to allocate those costs to the various departments.
Okay. And it seems like a minimal amount of money then to invest to get that help, probably.
It guarantees that we have a defensible position for those costs that then get allocated.
Okay. And then the Nova House in the first week was AMHI flex funds, $7,560. What is the NOLA House, Bob?
That's a facility that cares for people with mental health concerns. So it's a facility much like Horizon Homes, those types of facilities that care for persons with mental illness.
In our community, or?
I think that one's located elsewhere.
That's what I was wondering.
You
I
know,
hadn't
the
heard of it.
Yeah.
adult initiative covers the 10 counties, and so
Oh.
I believe that's outside of our
Probably
county.
somewhere, okay. And then, second week, Deegan or Deacon? Deegan Construction. Other, $31,341, just wondering what it was. I always get curious, I see other B's or other.
Sure. That's some repair of the ravine as part of the Ponderosa. There's a ravine there that we did some work on, and we received some funding from Soil and Water Conservation District, I believe, to help us with that.
Oh, okay. Then, I was just curious, there was a deferred comp one on the second week. It said variable annuity life insurance. I've never, I mean, I know we've got two places where our deferred comp programs go to, but I didn't know what the variable annuity life insurance. Just wondering if that's an error, or if that's $17,932.
I'd have to do a little more research on that one. I believe it's correct, but, you know, it is deferred comp that then is taken out of people's pay and forwarded on to that retirement option, but I think you're asking a little different question than
I know we have a lot of deferred comp comes out regularly.
Right.
But the variable annuity life insurance, I didn't realize that was a separate line item that we had it going to, you know, just curious.
I can get you some additional information on that.
Okay, yeah.
I think Drew won.
Yeah, Drew.
Yes.
I mean, I stumped the administrator.
Stumped the administrator.
I bet I gotta bring the music back.
Well, if I understand your question, it's about the life insurance element of
Yeah,
that
I've never
title?
seen it go directly to a life insurance company like that. Usually it goes to somebody who's managing the funds for deferred comp. And I don't know if it's a one-time thing, maybe once a year they do an adjustment or something, you know, I don't know,
Yeah,
it just seems unusual to me.
I can follow up on that for you.
I don't have anything.
I just have one in the first week, Integra Telecom, and I think they do, that's an outfit, third party, they do dispatch phones or something. And then I was just wondering the total amount, 29,402, if that was, 29,000, if that was, like, a year thing, yearly, or?
Well, it's listed as phone system maintenance,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, I know we have a contract with them, they do the bunch at the Justice Center, I don't.
This
It's kinda like
is-
those internet phones or something, I think that's something to do in their dispatch too, but I don't know exactly.
it actually covers all countywide.
Is that countywide?
It's,
For the
and
so the
charges are
29,000,
going
is
to,
that like a yearly thing then? Maybe that's a yearly thing.
it's listed as July of 2014.
Oh. I don't.
But I
recall.
think these are quarterly maintenance charges, so.
Oh, okay.
I don't believe it's an annual charge, I think it's quarterly.
Okay. That's for all the phones then, okay.
Yep.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Anything else?
I'm okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, let's move on to the drainage inspectors' reports.
Hi, Craig.
Morning, Craig.
Good morning.
Morning.
Who's this I voted guy?
Only have 3 reports. First one, the JD-21, straightforward, just a broken tile. County is 57, that is actually an intake, it's a little different. It's a CMP pipe, we don't have a whole lot, those that was sticking up, as jagged metal, and it's just a safety hazard, either to equipment or individuals, so that should be replaced.
You know, by the looks of the picture, looks like you got two of them right next to each other.
Two lines, yes. We have an old tile line that was put in about 1920s about, and then of course a new line that was just put in 2011. So they're parallel mains. That's what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand why there was two, one
Yeah.
right next to each other.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of those, but we do have a few of those in the county, yes.
Okay.
Quick question on that too also, Craig. When something like this comes up, you know, it's an intake, right? So it's actually a drain in a low area in the
Yes.
field, I would assume. And, does it come up then, any options for how they might wanna have it done, or the county wants to have it done as, or, I mean, I know there's usually 2 or 3 different ways you can do an intake, and I didn't know if.
Depends on the intake, like smaller intakes, you have, you know, quite often, some farmers would prefer nowadays what they call either French drain or rock inlet.
Yeah.
That way they can farm over it.
Right.
This one's a little too big to really do that, for that area. So it just depends on it, but yeah, a lot of farmers, or they like to have it moved so it's a little more convenient for their farming. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's an option that comes up.
You guys
Question
talk
from
about
farmers,
it.
yeah, we talk about it. We had, County Age 57, we had a farmer replace every intake in his field with, rock intakes,
Okay.
so.
They gotta be great to farm through.
So, okay, and 92, that was May 11th storm blew out, a, crossing, and of course, the crossing was in kind of rough shape, anyway, but we just got overwhelmed by the June 11th rain, so that had to be replaced.
All right.
And that's it.
Okay,
I will move the repairs.
Second.
discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Thank you,
Thanks.
Craig.
That was hard, wasn't it, Craig? There you go.
Al?
Good morning.
Morning,
Good morning.
How are you?
Morning,
It's a
Ryan.
beautiful day. Gosh, it's
Morning.
nice out.
How are you, sir?
Good, yourself?
Good.
Morning, Ryan.
Yeah, we should be outside.
You may have seen the literature for the Mankato River Ramble Ride.
Mm-hmm.
And I
You say
passed
that
it-
3 times real fast?
The 3 R's, huh?
Never mind.
But now that you've said that, it would be a challenge. But the thing of note, I think, is the county trails that are used and county roads that are used for the ride, and just note the beautiful scenery that we are blessed with in our county and the people that love to go out there and use it. So,
I know we've got letters in the past too from some of those active bicyclists. You've gotten them, haven't you, Al?
oh yeah.
Asking if there's any way we can be mindful of how we do our shoulders and how you develop them if you record them and that sort of
Yep.
thing. I'm sure you think about that every time.
Oh, yes. Yep. Okay,
Yeah, it should be called the, Mankato/Blue Earth County River Ride, because
That's
the
true.
majority of the rides in Blue Earth County, it's
Out of the city.
outside of the city limits, but,
That's a lot to put on a brochure.
it would be, it
Yeah.
would be.
Yeah.
It's the Mankato area, so that's the main part.
there's still a lot of confusion about Mankato and Blue Earth County and Blue Earth City,
Oh.
People get very confused.
as you know.
Yeah.
Well, okay, on to our action items. Last time we awarded a bid for the County 14 Bridge Replacement Project in the southeastern corner of the county. There's a resolution in your packet that would provide for a $562,915.71 state grant from local bridge bonding to assist with the project. Resolution would, basically says we accept that grant. If it costs more than that, we pay the additional amount. If it costs less than that, we return the money for those particular grant items. It's the standard resolution used for that source of funding we've used many times in the past, so I recommend that we proceed with that.
I'll move the acceptance, resolution for the state transportation fund, bridge funds.
Second.
Okay, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, please pass those out. Friday, we opened bids for the County Road 147 bridge replacement project, bridge renovation project near Amboy, County Road 147, and I'm passing out a summary of those bids. I also emailed the bids to you folks Saturday morning, I believe. Results were very disappointing. The engineer's estimate from SEH Consultants that designed the bridge was about 1.3 million. Because of the recent high bids, we increased our engineer's estimate 15% to 1.536 million. The low bid was for Minowa Construction, $1,897,330, or 23% above our estimate. I put together a packet of information there, which is interesting, I think. If you turn to the second page, well, the first page is a summary of the bids. We had the 3 bids, Minowa, Dunick, and Icon, which is a pretty good competition and a fair number of bids for a project of this sort, ranging from 24% to 64% above our estimate. To try to put that in perspective and to try to better understand what was happening there, I've talked to a number of people with the state and with SEH Consultants, the bridge designer. One piece of information here, the second page, is a summary, statewide summary from the state database on bridge costs by type of bridge. And you'll see 2 items flagged there. PCB is the pre-stressed concrete beam bridge. That's our standard bridge, basically. And then the next flag is for a steel bridge. The bridge at Amboy would have had steel beams and a concrete deck. Steel beams are more expensive, but it would have had to bend steel because of the long span of the old truss, and then because we wanted to keep a slim profile in order to allow the flood capacity to pass without raising the whole bridge up higher. So, if you look at the Amboy Bridge and compare it to these bid costs, the Amboy Bridge, 146-foot span, 15.5 feet wide, deck of 2,300 square feet. Our estimate of 1.3 million would have been $565 a square foot. The revised estimate, $1.5 million, $652 a square foot. And the low bid of 1.9 million was about $826 a square foot. When you compare that to the steel prices that have been received, 2013 there were no steel bridges on the local system in the state. There again, you don't use them unless you have to because they're expensive. In 2012 there was one at $610. 2011 there was one at $1,241 a square foot. And that's interesting. I believe that's the Lowry Bridge in Minneapolis, Hennepin County. It has a basket handle design, a monument type bridge. It was controversial at the time because that particular design was very expensive and yet it was chosen. 2010, no steel bridges. 2009, $123 a square foot. 2008, $156. 2007, $150. 2006, $500. And I guess the point of showing you that is to show how these prices vary so drastically and why it is so difficult to try to estimate what these bridges are going to come in at.
When I look at the 2012, it says 610 was per square foot.
Yeah.
That would have been about 2 years ago or so. And so you can easily see, $650. That's not that big of an increase really per square foot.
They bounce around a lot, and it depends so much upon the particular design and the setting and the construction difficulties.
Yeah.
For a standard design, concrete beam bridge, 200 foot long, it would have been longer because instead of vertical abutments, you put in sloped abutments, and those vertical abutments are very expensive. You need cofferdams. They need to be strong because they're acting as retaining walls. The bridge gets longer, but you save enough money to compensate by not having the tall vertical abutments. Standard concrete design, if you look up at the unit prices, they've been increasing from 2006 at about $98 a square foot. There was a dip in 10 with the recession, and now they've come back up to about 130. I'm estimating maybe $135 if we bid one right now. That would be about $918,000. Just for perspective on the cost of this project versus
Yeah.
what a standard type project would have been.
You don't think there's any programs out there available that you can think of that would help with restoration? Is there anything else that you can think of?
For 2 years, we tried to get historic funds
Yeah.
to assist with it. And the Amboy Group did a very nice job of putting together a grant. I assisted them with grant applications, and we're not successful in getting any funds.
That's the Minnesota Historical Society?
Yes,
That's
their and legacy funds.
Oh,
or
and
historic
legacy
use.
funds.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, we have, isn't this, with this bridge, we have a state, are we getting a state bond for this bridge?
Yes, the state had committed to 90% of the cost with the $1.3 million estimate. I'm confident they would have gone to 1.5 million. And then we were gonna pay 10% match of their road and bridge fund. So we were looking at 90% of 1.3 million state bonding grant and 10% road and bridge funds.
Now, what happens with that bond if we don't build it?
It stays in the state's local bridge bonding program and would be used by other bridges. Not necessarily our bridges, but other bridges around the
So we
state.
might lose it. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Well,
It's about $1 million, isn't it, or more?
yeah, and actually, we've got some other bridges that would be ready to go next year that would use local bridge bonding.
Well,
And that fund is depleted,
What I'm
so
saying is, we might lose it for this bridge all
I think it's,
completely.
I think it's likely that, if we choose to rebid it, for instance, they would hold the funds for us until we have rebid, and maybe even if they've got some additional funds, increase the amount. I talked to, several people. Dave Kunkel is the MnDOT State Aid Bridge Engineer, a real swell, very conscientious, expert person. He said bridge costs this last year have risen 10 to 40%, and for some unique projects like the Amboy Bridge, they have come in double the cost. We talked to the contractor, Brian Connell, Minowa Construction, just to try to get a better understanding of why his bid was so much above our estimate.
Yeah.
And he said it was several things, removing the truss, the requirement that it be preserved and not damaged, require a large crane and great care. There was concern about the bearings being set into the concrete and getting them out in one piece, moving it aside, repairing it, and then putting it back in one piece for a large, rather
That makes
fragile
sense.
old structure. So, they're private business, they have to assign a risk to that.
Yeah, and then they, yeah, and you
Did-
don't know what
did-
you're gonna get into.
Not
Did-
for sure, like
Didn't
repairing an old
we
house.
figure that when we put the estimate out?
Yes, but perhaps not adequately.
Okay.
You know, just how do you get inside the contractor's minds, how much risk are you going to assign to this?
Yeah, okay.
Another is, constructing the abutments. Because they're concrete abutments, sitting on piling, they would have had to put in a cofferdam to keep the water out, de-water it, pound in the piling, pour the foundation, and then build the concrete abutment. The risk there is that it's sometimes difficult to keep the water out of the cofferdam, and then if you get high water while you're working inside the cofferdam, it goes over the top, floods things out, and you sort of have to start over again. So what risk do you assign to that? And steel sheet piling now is expensive also.
Yeah.
So that was one of his concerns, was the cofferdams needed.
What if you're putting in, since you're comparing the prices, you know, it's about just under $1 million to put in
Yeah.
a regular bridge, so if we state bonded for that, how much does the state help us with that normally, then, just a regular? Did they?
On a county road, they probably would have paid 100% of a regular
100%?
bridge, yeah.
Okay, so the expense wouldn't have been on the county there.
No, and the struggle there was, the legislature, authorizes these bonds for local bridge replacement. How much above a regular transportation bridge should they spend for these historic reasons?
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
probably out of the ballpark or not possible for us to help with any of the demo or anything like that, or any of the.
Yeah, we thought about that, and there really isn't much we could do with our own crew that would relieve these costs.
Yeah,
You know, you could do some minor things, like we could take our crew and take the wood deck off,
yeah.
but that's not gonna be much money. We don't have any equipment that's nearly big enough to handle lifting it off. And then when you get into a series of steps, they're all interdependent. It's much better to assign it to one contractor and make them responsible for the whole thing. Otherwise, you have, if something goes wrong at step C, they're saying it was because of step A that somebody
Yeah.
else did.
So it came
Never
in, basically,
failed.
the one bid's $350,000 about, over what we thought it was gonna cost.
Yeah.
So is your recommendation not to accept these bids and to rebid it?
Yes, and I guess one more point too was, at the last minute, there was a requirement from the legislature that, domestic steel be used on these structures. The question was, did that result in a higher price? I don't think so, because there wasn't enough steel where the time and make it worthwhile to fabricate this in another country and ship it here. And then the form lining of the concrete abutment, so they would look like porridge stone, that wasn't a significant item either when you look at the shortfall here. So when you consider all of these things, yes, what I would recommend is that we reject these bids. Over the winter here, we work with our consultant in the state and see if there are some things we could do to refine the design and lower the price. I don't see a big potential for that really. We could rebid in, say, February or March, when the contractors are done with their workload. They're trying to fill their workload for the next year. They're more hungry for work, if you will. And we can give them an extended time. So to deal with this risk of what are the water levels gonna be down there, if you give them extended time, they've got a longer time to work with, and try to pick a dry period,
Yeah.
low water period.
Do any of the contracts ever have anything in them where, like, they put that risk factor in there, which is probably several $100,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, high water could happen, you know, these kind of things, but if it doesn't, then you just have a nice, simple, beautiful, low water season and everything goes smoothly. But they say if that occurs, you can have X number of dollars back at the end of the project, or do they ever do something like that, or?
It'd be really hard to do that. What you could do though is, have a starting date, and we have done this with other projects where the starting date doesn't start until you get to a period of low water in dry times,
Yeah.
and then we start. Say if you give them 100 working days to do the project,
Yeah.
instead of starting it on May 1st, spring is normally when the water is high,
Yeah.
you'll say, we won't start the 100 days until we have so much dry weather.
Yeah,
So we do things like that.
okay.
We did that with the Rapidan Dam
Yeah.
project, and
Yeah,
that
we
worked
waited
out
months.
well.
Yep,
Yeah, we waited till the water was really down.
yep, that worked out well.
Yeah.
So, the other thing too is, we worked very hard with so many folks, the transportation funding folks and design and the Historic Society and the Amboy Group to put together a design here that would work for everybody. To show good faith in those efforts and to continue with good faith. I think the cost is too high now, I think everybody accepts that, but I think we should try again.
So do we need a vote to do that?
I think there should be a vote to reject the
Yeah, we have
bids.
to reject.
And just, with consensus, I guess we would go ahead and, refine the design, work with these various parties, and then rebid it in the spring, and then we'd take another vote on your part, do you accept or reject those bids? The other thing is this will give us time to work on the funding aspects. How much additional funds could the state put into it in bridge bonds?
Just amazed that there's no legacy funding. I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like a project
Yeah.
that
Just that they
would
would
be a
just check this
textbook,
kind of thing.
textbook legacy fund
Yep.
Should
project.
be.
Yeah,
And if we wait, there may be more state funds available because, Patty Loken is the woman that manages this bonding program for MinDOT. She does an excellent job. And she's indicated that there have been a couple other bridges that have been deferred and not awarded because of high costs.
Okay.
So, that puts money in their drawer.
Well,
Sometimes-
I would move that we reject the bid.
I'll second it.
Okay.
And part of my motion would be then to, research it and, place it up for bids next spring or February when, maybe they're a little bit hungrier,
Yeah.
you know?
okay,
Anything good sometimes takes a long time to
oh, yeah,
get done.
Evidently.
we'll figure
I
it.
guess that's a nice,
This
positive.
is 10
development.
years now, by the way.
No, I know.
We'll figure it out.
It'd be nice to have it done and,
Yeah.
at least have the, your.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's carried. Thank you, Al.
Well,
I-
first I want to apologize for missing the estimate that much. I know in retrospect, you know, I think it was a reasonable path that we were on.
Mhm.
And I want to thank you for your patience and persistence in working with all the groups to get this done. I do have the plans here. It really will be a neat project once it's done, unique. And it is looked at around the state as a model for what to do with these paradoxes of historic structures and modern transportation needs. So a lot of folks are watching what happens here and are hoping that we work something out.
But we're getting, across the state of Minnesota, we're getting high bids over
Everything.
engineers' estimates. I'm talking to commissioners from across the state, and every county is going through the same thing.
Yeah.
So this is not a surprise for us here in Blue Earth County, it's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
And that may be because, obviously, when there's a lot of construction, prices go up. You know, when they're hungry, prices come down, just like it was, 3 years ago. I mean, we were getting prices below our estimates.
Yep.
So,
We lost some of our construction capacity during those very lean years where there just wasn't much construction out there. And the industry hasn't geared up at this point. Once they do and more competitors enter the market, our prices should stabilize again.
Yep.
Okay. A couple of information items, and I had emailed that out to you also on harvesting hay from the highway ditches. It's become more valuable in recent years. And so there's been some competition for that hay, and we've got a letter here that our maintenance people can hand out to folks when the question arises. That seems to be working well. The Mapleton
I
shop,
have a question on that.
yeah,
You got I sent you a note, email on that.
Yep.
What do you think, is there a possibility that we can work out an actual date? Cause the one question says, or the one comment says, wildlife interest request hay not be harvested during nesting season to avoid damaging wildlife nests. And it's in the ditches, so there's only certain kinds of birds usually, you know, that are involved. Couldn't we come up with a date? Cause I don't think people are gonna know, you know, when to and when not to, unless we have some rough estimate date or something that the DNR and you could come up with maybe, or?
Farmers are, well aware of the dates, the farm program and that stuff have dates that are.
They come out every year, you mean, the dates do, or?
Yeah, well, I mean, they certainly have guidelines. I mean, anytime, like my crop ground, there's, you can't do anything to it till a certain date. You know, and if you wanna do something, you get a special permit to do that.
So how do we do it? I mean, I got a horse and I wanna hay out in front of my land, so I don't farm. How do I know when I can do it? Just curious. Do I wait till just after the leaves are out?
and the balance here is that, we wanted a short letter, a short common sense letter that we could give to folks. The biggest issue was who gets it, if it's in front of your house or somebody else.
Yeah.
That we wanted to address. That's been the problem.
Oh, I can.
If you get too far into those dates, it gets
Mhm.
really complicated really fast. Because on our 720 miles of highway, some are by easement and various types of easement, and some are by fee title.
Okay.
If it's by easement, then the farmer owns the land the road sits on, and our rights are what it takes to have a road there. So the farmer owns that hay, and they can basically mow it for hay anytime they want. If it's on county highway, we own it, and then there's a law that deals with when you can mow it. Although even that's complicated because it has exceptions for site corners and safety reasons.
Yeah.
If we were to try to put this all in this letter, then we'd have this problem where farmer wants to mow the hay, we have to go back and research our files, our right-of-way files, to find out what our right-of-way interests are there. It would just be unworkable for us.
And there's a lot of farmers that actually mow that ditch like it's part of their yard.
Yeah, for
I
lawn.
mean, and so they mow it
Yeah.
starting in spring all the way through fall.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks great.
Yeah.
So it'd be hard. Also, your years, I mean, this year is different than last year. I mean, we have a late spring, we have an early spring, we have a, you know, how do you put a date on that?
Well,
That's the problem. You know, I agree with you, Al, that we, you know, make it simple.
Yeah.
Most farmers use common sense when they do this, and I guess should trust the farmer that they're gonna do it right.
If we try to put those dates on it, we just create a regulatory enforcement complicated situation that we couldn't implement.
Yeah.
We'll
So
get-
have-
just
then
making
we
a
have to-
comment that we're not really trying to enforce protecting the birds or anything like that.
Yeah,
We're
but
just-
yet I felt that we should draw interest to that particular issue. It's important to some folks and important to DNR, so.
And they could check with the DNR maybe if they want, if they're gonna do it?
Yeah, if they choose to do that, or many of these farm programs have language too and make people aware of it. So it's kind of a middle ground there of trying to acknowledge that there is a wildlife interest
Yeah.
without becoming the enforcer and trying to delve into each situation,
Yeah,
interpret each
I
situation.
understand. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was a pretty clever solution, actually.
I didn't think
You
of
pat
that.
yourself on the
That's
back
my
for this
suggestion,
one.
but that's okay.
Yeah, no,
Sure
that was a
would-
good question.
You know,
Good relevant question. It's one I
Having
struggle
the
with
farmers
readiness.
hay the ground sure does eliminate some of the work we have for
Yes, it does.
mowing a third of the county every year.
Yes, it does.
So that, you know, it saves the county money by having them do that.
It does. We're legally required to control noxious weeds, and we need to mow for safety reasons, and it helps us with that.
Well, and then to stop the growing of trees and other things in your ditches, you need to have them mowed.
Yeah, that's right.
Good comment.
Mapleton Shop? Okay, they are working, Brennan Construction is working, I was down there last Friday looking at their work, and it's coming along nicely. When we awarded the contract, we didn't have a commitment from the insurance company on how much they would pay. I have approximate numbers now, and they were included in your packet, I believe. Costs, cleaning, decontamination, and that includes getting, you know, this happened in January, so we wanted to get a furnace going so we wouldn't do more damage with the water, and the garage door was on the Fritz, so we hired Fritz to put in a new door so that it would be weather tight. We needed electricity for the furnace, so, okay, that's that. And Service Master was contaminated by soot and smelly, and they cleaned it up. Brunton Architects did the plans, specs, assisted with contracting. Construction contract, $219,000. Petroleum equipment tank monitors were destroyed by the fire. Were required by the MPCA to have these tank monitors. It gives us a total construction cost of about $226,000, or a grand total of about $283,600. There will be some minor items that will come in above that as they complete construction. Like a couple days ago, they found the floor drain didn't meet the code, so we'll have to put in a different floor drain. There'll be some minor items. Insurance recovery, two numbers, with depreciation and without depreciation. And MCIT is saying that if we have the garage restored and operational within 2 years of when the fire occurred, they would provide the without depreciation numbers. And that will occur. Have it done in a year. Garage, $187,000, the contents $13,000 or $200,000. So, of the total estimated cost of about $284,000, $200,000 insurance recovery, we will have to pay about $84,000. But we will have some improvements with that we've discussed in the past that are good investments, I think. One is the fire sprinkler system, another high efficiency infrared heating, high efficiency LED lighting, high efficiency windows and doors with additional 2 windows on the north wall, expanding the mezzanine storage, which is basically the attic above the office restroom area. And then there'll be a brighter, modern working environment for our staff. And when done, the building will meet all the current electrical, plumbing, building, and ADA codes. So we get quite a benefit out of the additional money.
That's good.
Beyond the insurance money.
Well, we could be building a totally new building if it had been worse.
Yes, it
Yeah,
would have
for
been.
probably $1 million or
Yeah.
something.
We are close to that, really. And I think our road tour will stop and take a look at it. And all of our out shops are 1950 era concrete block buildings that do not meet these modern codes. I would see this is a model for something we could implement, perhaps one a year until we bring ourselves up to speed with them. They're basically sound concrete block buildings. They're full, but they function well. They're well located. I think that would be a good program to keep in mind. Well, any questions on the Mapleton shop?
Sounds good.
Yeah, and I think if we're gonna go on the road tour, any community we'll be in where the shop is, why don't you put that on there for just a quick buzz through?
See the other ones?
Yeah,
Yep.
so we
Yes.
try to get a look at all of them.
Get a
good look.
If we're in that area, let's stop by that shop.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
We'll do that. Okay, construction projects are proceeding well. County 17, they should be paving from Javens to County 12, from 56 to Javens and then on to 12 within the next few days here.
Nice.
We're still estimating mid to late September. We may beat that with good weather and good attention from the contractor. County 26 to Main Street and Madison Lake. The Main Street is done except for the final wearing course, which will be laid next spring. And Cherry Avenue, curb and gutter is in. They're preparing to pave that within the next few days here. County 26, the north side of Eagle Lake, is also progressing well. They're finishing the aggregate base in place, and then paving will follow. The County 14 bridge, which was awarded in the grant resolution today, will start in a week or two. Good timing there with the lower water for the bridge construction. Maintenance overlays in the southern part of the county are done. There's a couple of small projects in the northern part of the county to do. And as you may recall, we did a value engineering proposal there, which would save about $100,000. County Road 131 bridge replacement will be a big box culvert. Opening bid September 5th. We'll get that done this year. The trunk Highway 22 cost us 17 leg. I walked out there this morning, took a look at it. Our leg is coming along nicely. The gravel's in and the curb and gutter's in, and westbound lanes are paved, and they're preparing to pave the eastbound legs. So they, just from appearances, it looks like they're about on schedule for a Labor Day opening.
I noticed that if you go to Red Lobster or to Olive Garden,
Yeah.
if you sit by the windows, you have built-in entertainment. You can watch all these guys go by
Yeah.
constantly.
Yep.
Panera.
Did
They're
that,
working on that
did that.
roundabout and working on the details now, because they've got most of the stuff poured, but
Yeah.
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 My wife and I have been to both places and watched
Yeah.
watched the entertainment, so.
You should have been an engineer.
Yeah.
Go out and build that stuff.
No.
Right.
Let's not go too far there.
Okay, our planning projects, County 1 from Good Thunder to Highway 30, the design is coming along very nicely, and we're out talking to folks and acquiring right away. Highway 66 turnback is in MnDOT's hands. We're waiting for them to come back with an agreement proposal. And tonight, we have an open house this afternoon, I guess, from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Blue Earth County Highway Office. Jack and I have met with all the landowners, or offered to meet with all landowners along the side. Those meetings have gone well. And Chad and I are preparing a catch-up plan. Not Garrison Keeler's kind of catch-up, but catch up from behind with things such as these shops. Our snow blowers are very old, like 50s vintage. We're looking at how we could upgrade those to more modern equipment. Some of these things are not used often, but when you need them, they're essential, and they do last a long, long time. So we've deferred some of these costs. We'll be coming to you in a workshop, laying out a catch-up plan that would be implemented over several years.
I've noticed, being on the airport commission, that the Mankato Airport actually got a snow blower from Colorado, and through one of their auctions. Is that something that the county would think about, since it's not used?
Yes.
You know, that we go out and find like one of these airport, you know, the airports that blow snow and stuff like that, and they have their stuff come up on auction. Is that something that we would do, or?
Yes.
Not necessarily, you know, you wouldn't wanna have to buy a $2 million brand new snowblower when you can buy one for pennies on the dollar sometimes at these auctions.
Yes. No, we're very interested in that. That
Okay.
and the Defense Department surplus.
I think for the, you know, the taxpayer in Blue Earth County, that would be a very important thing.
I'd take a step further and see if we could rent theirs or borrow theirs.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't know how much they need it.
Of course, usually when we need it,
Well, they need it.
they
There's-
need it,
yeah,
so.
They probably
But
need
it's
it,
it's worth asking.
But you bet.
Well, you've done that in the past, haven't you? One of your current blowers is
Yes, we swapped with the city,
Yeah.
with their airport truck.
yeah. Good.
So we'd be looking at our options there, which include a snow blower that mounts in the front of a front end loader. They're more economical, but they don't move as fast. You can't get them around as fast. There's the truck mounted types, the new types, surplus option. We'd be looking at several options there.
Sounds like a good plan.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Can we take a break?
What?
Take a break?
You can if you'd like.
Thank you, Al.
yes, thank you so
Al.
much.
Ryan.
Have
Ryan.
a good day.
Yeah, let's take a break.
Okay, shall we resume with our administrative services?
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 3 on your agenda is the Human Resources Department agenda. We just have informational items here this morning. First item is just, we did fill a 911 dispatcher position. The second item is we did have a resignation in our Human Resources office. So soon we'll be initiating some recruitment there. We also received a resignation of a financial assistance specialist in our Human Services Department, and we have initiated the recruitment to fill that position.
All right. Okay.
Next item is item number 4 in your packet. This is a joint powers agreement with the Minnesota Counties Computer Cooperative. This is a joint powers agreement that Blue Earth County has been a part of for a number of years for some of our data systems. MCCC, as it's called, is a joint powers organization providing services to reduce information technology costs for Minnesota counties. We currently use MCCC in our property tax area, the Sheriff's Department, Public Health, and Community Corrections. This joint powers agreement was modified and reorganized in terms of establishing the MCCC Board of Directors as the principal decision-making body, and to conform the governing documents to the actual operations and practices of MCCC. And so there are no expenses associated with this agreement. It's just kind of an update and cleanup of the joint powers agreement. And so we're recommending approval by the county board of this revised agreement.
Move to approve.
Second?
Discussion? If none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 5 in your agenda is a technical change to a PRA coverage for our correctional plan employees. This is basically our jail employees. This is kind of a technical and a very unusual situation that has developed around PARA for the correctional employees. Back when it was first established in 1999, there was discussion between PARA and the Social Security Administration about how to go about this Coordinated Plan 218 agreement, which basically says the employer will withhold Social Security, the employees will be eligible for coverage under Social Security, as well as the PRA coverage that's provided. There was a, excuse me, a technical error when that plan was initially set up, and through some discussions between PARA staff and the Social Security Administration, they've now informed PARA that a referendum or a vote must be held to extend those Social Security benefits to the employees. I've attached a plan that PARA has sent out to counties that outlines a number of the issues here. Ultimately, PARA wants to know from counties, they want to involve the employers, which are Minnesota counties. They want to know or get some guidance from the counties in terms of how to go about having the employees vote on this issue. And so there are two options. One option is a majority vote where the employees would all vote and the majority would rule in terms of how Social Security would be applied going forward. There's also an option for the employees to go under what's called a divided vote, meaning if I were the employee and I voted no, then I would no longer have Social Security withheld from my paychecks, but I also no longer would be eligible to receive Social Security benefits in the future. As this issue has been presented to counties, there's been questions from counties, why are we even involved? This is a PRA issue, and the employees under the correctional plan, as the discussion has taken place and information has been provided, PRA has indicated that it's their understanding that they should get guidance from the employers, and so counties are the employers of these employees, and so they would like feedback from county boards in terms of, do we want PARA to offer a majority vote option to the employees or this divided vote option. And so as I've looked at this issue and been a part of some of the discussions that PARA has had with county administrators, I'm recommending that the county board support a majority vote option to correct this technical error. This will retain uniformity for all of our staff, so we won't have some staff that are getting paid with Social Security benefits or withholdings done and eligible for Social Security when they retire, and other employees doing the same job that don't have Social Security withheld from their checks and ultimately would be ineligible for Social Security benefits in the future.
Does this include all employees, including like law enforcement?
This is just those employees covered under this correctional plan,
okay.
so it's about 35 employees in Blue Earth County.
In our situation.
Okay.
Well, I know I thought about it too, and I think that, personally, I think that you're right. Your recommendation for having it be a majority vote option, so they can just, they vote as a group and decide how they're gonna go, you know what I mean? That's kinda how you handle most of those things in the, if you look at the past employment practices. And, I would imagine most people would want to retain their Social Security, you know, too. I mean, I think it can create some problems for administration if people are going back and forth and not doing the Social Security, then all of a sudden, okay, now I'll do Social Security, although, and if everybody did that, it would start to be kind of a problem, I think, and, not be a problem, just create more work. The other thing that goes through my mind is you think about trying to support Social Security, keeping people paying into Social Security and, bring a consistent benefit, 'cause it looks like they would lose, if they've been paying in for a longer period of time, they're actually gonna lose benefits that they've already paid into.
Right, under Social Security Administration rules, you can only get 3 years of benefits or withholdings that have been paid into Social Security back. So if an employee has been employed longer than 3 years, they would lose those withholdings. They would not have those refunded, and they would not be eligible for the benefits that they've paid for.
Yeah. I would imagine they would vote as a majority to keep their Social Security going.
Makes
I would
sense.
think.
And you know,
Well, there was a time that police and fire weren't allowed to
Is
pay.
that right?
Under the rules, weren't allowed to
Yeah,
pay.
I had to
it.
have an extra job to bring
Yeah.
my social security up.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I see this as a good thing.
Yeah.
Do you need a motion then?
I'll motion for
Yes, I
approval.
moved.
Oh,
Okay.
second?
Okay, any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Moving on to the tax abatements.
Yes, we have 2 separate tax abatements, and both of them cover 2 years. So there's actually 4 items here that we'll be asking for action on. Both of them relate to fires that destroyed properties, and so the first one is $80 abatement for pay 2013, and then for pay 2014, there would be a credit of that same amount. And for the second one, get there, for pay 213, there's a $384 abatement, and that same credit amount then for, well, that one actually is 12 and 13, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
Can we, make a motion for both of them?
Probably be best to do them individually, since they're
I'll move the
separate
first one.
properties.
Okay,
Second.
okay, and it would be the William Martinson property. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I'll move the Rob Winter property.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners, item number 7 in your packet is an application for a gambling exempt permit from the Cambria Presbyterian Church. They will be holding a raffle in October, so I recommend approval.
So moved. Second.
Discussion?
I don't know, seems like a pretty wild place.
Yeah. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, financial status report?
Yes, this is for the end of July of this year. We're at a point in the year where about 58% of our budget should be either achieved on the revenue side or expended on the expenditure side. We're currently showing total revenues at just under 54%. Again, we start to feel the effects of the way property tax levy dollars are received, and so for the next few months we'll be lagging behind on the revenue side. We still have $46 million of revenue against just over $44 million of expenditures. Our expenditures are also running below that kind of target of 58%, currently at just under 52%. Biggest factors in terms of the expenditure side, again, are those contracts in the Public Works Department, and we'll see some activity coming through here in August and September that will push those numbers up. We also are lagging behind in our building and equipment purchases, sitting at just over 27% of our budget, and so again, that's fairly typical that departments wait until the latter part of the year to purchase a number of things, just kind of seeing and monitoring how their budgets are looking for the year. So overall, sitting in a good position at this point in the year. In terms of the enterprise fund for the Ponderosa landfill, you'll see that total revenues are at just about $1.6 million this year. expenditures are under 1.5 million. So even with a large machinery and equipment purchase that you see there at 639,000, we still have revenues exceeding expenses.
Okay.
In terms of the cash balances, our total available funds at the end of July were $47.7 million compared to our 6-month operating needs of $42.5 million. Overall, our total funds were sitting at $107.5 million. So, still in
And
good shape.
I noticed our investments are doing better this year than last year.
That's
So
correct.
That's good. Made up the difference that we lost out on last year.
Yeah, I don't think we should assume that that will hold. Market values are still fluctuating quite a bit, and so it's all point in time looks that the board gets to see, and so those fluctuations are quite dramatic still at this point.
Very good.
Any questions?
Thank
If
you.
not, that's all we have for this morning.
Okay. Very good.
And we're not going out for lunch,
Not
are we?
going out for lunch, no?
Move to adjourn.
Brunch.
Have a cookie, yeah, we have brunch.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.